Let's take a moment to travel back in time to one of the most pivotal transformations in the development of the world thus far, the Industrial Revolution. This was a very big deal as we moved away from manual labor and shifted towards using machinery instead of our hands. We were introduced to the steam engine and to railways, and we are still living in the aftermath of that innovational boom. As 21st century dwellers, we know that machinery and technology have advanced rapidly over time and continue to do so at a blistering pace. But what stands before us now is something monumental. We are about to witness and have already begun to face a transformation that is to this century as the Industrial Revolution was to the 18th century. We are living in the prime time for three-dimensional printing. 3D printing allows us to create three-dimensional objects from a computer file. And how this works is that successive layers of material are compiled onto a platform. It is becoming ever more prevalent and accessible to the public. So what exactly does this mean? Well, the way I see it, 3D printing is about to change everything as we know it. It's hard to believe that the first 3D printer was actually created 30 years ago by Charles Hull, because only recently has it begun to make big headlines. I actually remember a couple years back, after I'd broken my leg for the 4th time, telling my parents that I wanted to become an orthopedic surgeon. My dad responded with some prophetic notion that something called 3D printing was going to be huge in the future of medicine. I just kind of smiled and nodded. But it wasn't until this past year I actually understood what he was talking about. I began to read articles and instantly became obsessed with the potential of three-dimensional printing. Its applications right now are already vast and almost unfathomable. In medicine alone, we have the ability to easily manufacture prosthetics at a much more cost-effective rate. We can even take an MRI or a CAT scan and use those images to produce a three-dimensional replica of a body part. And in this specific instance, doctors did exactly that to make a 3D copy of someone's heart. And this patient happened to have a heart tumor, so this allowed them to practice their surgical approach before going in on the live patient. And in the same regard, we can use it to reproduce bones. So this comes into play when we're talking about hip replacement and knee replacement. But the future of 3D printing in medicine has the ability to enhance the safety and capability of surgeons while improving the quality of people's lives at a much lower cost. And although I find the medical applications most intriguing, 3D printing is used far more extensively. In dentistry, we can use it to create an exact replica of someone's mouth or to produce a synthetic jaw. Even NASA is using three-dimensional printing as an on-demand machine shop in space. But we can use 3D printing for much more basic things, like rapidly prototyping car parts. However, with all of the benefits that do come with three-dimensional printing, we have to be aware of the potential dark side, like Pandora's box. For example, we now have the ability to download a file and create weapons, like three-dimensional guns. Nonetheless, the capabilities of 3D printing already blow my mind, and we are only beginning to scratch the surface. Just picture where we can go with this in the future. With 3D printers becoming less expensive and with more 3D printable files becoming available in the public domain, we essentially have the ability to create whatever we want whenever we want it. But this does have the potential to disrupt traditional business models for production and development. As we've seen when music first became available online, people can now download that illegally for free. However, 3D printing has the power to save lives, as we've already begun to see the impact of this. And in the future, we'll even be able to manufacture functioning body parts. Our imagination can essentially run wild, and we can make our conceptualizations become reality. An era of profound innovation is upon us. But we have to be careful, because 3D printing can either be extremely beneficial or detrimental depending on how we use it. Either way, it will change the world as we know it. We will begin to shift away from relying on others to manufacture our products, and we will become independent and self-reliant. But until then, we can sit back and watch the revolution unfold. In 3D, of course. Thank you.